It's Tuesday, January 16. In the headlines, Spanish Town Hospital to be redeveloped. Prime Minister Andrew Holness wants a total ban on corporal punishment. In business news, JPS's president and CEO, Steve Berberich, resigns. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago records 5 COVID-19 deaths. And in sports, Tia Clayton sprints the victory at the JPS Puma Fuller Anderson Development Meet. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Ground was broken for the redevelopment of the Spanish Town Hospital today, January 16. When completed, the facility will be able to accommodate more than 600 patients seen daily. Addressing journalists last August, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said the redevelopment project will transform the Spanish Town Hospital into a 6-story, 100-bed facility comprising 7 operating theaters, a new accident and emergency center, a new pharmacy and laboratory with diagnostics and other support services. He says upgrading of the facility will see the expansion of medical services at the hospital, including cardiology, hematology, oncology, gastroenterology, ophthalmology, and ENT. According to the health minister, the first retrofitted building will be equipped with modern equipment, including a new laboratory testing machine. Plans for the building includes pharmacy services, spaces for medication collection and storage, waiting and meeting areas, staff offices, bathroom facilities, among others. Dr. Tufton says the facilities are being put in place to create a comfortable environment for staff and patients accessing the hospital services during the period of transformation. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says conflict management should be a part of the school curriculum as a means of reducing violence in the society. He made the comment while addressing students and teachers at the Manchester High School in Mandeville recently.
So we have a problem with resolving conflicts. We have a problem with violence. Where should we be teaching people how to treat with conflict? Where should we be talking about peace? And I love it, because I'm saying school, but Mr. Principal, your students are very smart. They're saying start in the home.
He said the principles of conflict resolution and management are critical to violence reduction and prevention, particularly among youth. Citing data on the matter, Mr. Holness explains that a significant percentage of the shootings and murders are committed by young males under 24, adding that they are predominantly the victims of violence. The Prime Minister told the youngsters that there should be a different approach to solving conflicts. We can't use violence to solve it. According to the Prime Minister, plans are being put in place to have greater collaboration with the National Parenting Support Commission and educational institutions to reinforce best principles of conflict resolution. The students were receptive to his visit and his message.
Continue to be you and please come back again. Thank you for supporting us through all these times, and we're here in the new year at 10:34 and we're glad.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that the National Violence Prevention Commission, following its review of all existing public and private violence prevention programs as well as the government's strategies, has recommended a total ban on corporal punishment. Danita Rodney tells us more.
According to the Prime Minister, based on preliminary data presented from the committee, whose purpose is to identify gaps in the prevention and intervention services and make recommendations to appropriate programs, a total ban on corporal punishment is necessary to help stem the act of violence in our society. The Prime Minister noted that the recommendation is controversial, but thinks the society is at the point where it must confront itself on how it uses violence as a means of disciplining children. Prime Minister Holness also mentioned another recommendation of the committee, which focuses on changing the law to empower the police to respond to and treat with persons who have displayed violent tendencies. Mr. Holness made this revelation while speaking to sixth form students and their teachers at Manchester High School on January 12. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I'm Danita Rodney.
The National Water Commission, NWC, says areas served from the Bybrook facility in St. Catherine will be experiencing a disruption of their water supply between January 16 to February 6, 2024. In a statement to the press, the NWC says it has taken several steps to minimize any inconvenience to their water supply. These measures include use of alternate sources for Portmore and sections of St. Andrew, arrangements for trucking to any customers situated at elevated sections, preparation of a temporary water supply schedule as necessary. The areas to be affected includes in St. Catherine, Waterford, Gregory Park, Independence City, Cumberland, West Cumberland, Westchester, Garveymead, Portsmouth, Newlands, Christian Gardens, Hamilton Gardens, Portmore Mall, and the PAJ Complex. In St. Andrew, areas to be affected includes Marcus Garvey Drive and the sections of Spanish Town Road, sections of downtown Kingston that are boosted by water along Spanish Town Road. According to the NWC's statement, the team has been undertaking several simulations of these measures and will update the public of the finalized water supply plans for the 3-week period. It says it is striving to ensure that the stated areas receive some pipe supply from time to time during each 24-hour day. Most new mothers experience postpartum baby blues after childbirth, which commonly include mood swings, crying spells, and anxiety. Doctors have dubbed this type of depression as postpartum depression. Psychiatrist Mindy Fitzhenley tells us more in this Living Healthy report.
What is postpartum depression?
So postpartum depression is when mothers who have recently given birth that they notice that they're having depression. Now it's important to remember that sadness is not the same thing as depression. Sadness is a normal emotion that you would have in relation to something bad happening around you. You know, you could feel sad because you didn't make the amount of money that you were hoping to make, or you could feel sad because you and your friends had an argument. But depression is a longer lasting, more severe form of a low or sad mood that we would call it. Some people can even have an irritable mood, and that would be the difference, where it's either a sad mood or an irritable mood. But it has to be lasting for at least 2 weeks, and it has to be impacting your ability to function. And in postpartum depression, where we find the mothers really struggling is in their ability to care for their child. And as you can imagine, that is going to cause detrimental effects for both them as well as their children, whether it's their newborn or the other kids that they have at home. And so it's really important that postpartum depression is picked up early and that the mummies are allowed to get treatment.
What could cause depression after a child is born?
So for some persons, you can just develop postpartum depression. You don't have to physically be doing anything or emotionally be doing something wrong, as people like to say, for how they develop it. In the same way that you develop high blood pressure or diabetes, you're not necessarily doing anything. It's just a medical illness that your body has developed at this point. And so again, it's important for mothers to know that they're not doing anything wrong and we want to help you. So it's important for you to come to us, whether you say it to your gynecologist or your obstetrician, or you seek help on your own and come to a psychiatrist or even a psychologist. But it's important that persons seek help very quickly. As I said, we have to try and protect the mummy and the baby.
What are the other reasons that could cause postpartum depression?
Once you've had depression in your life, you're actually 20 times more likely to develop postpartum depression. And that's a hard number to hear. We don't want mothers to think that we're calling down postpartum depression on it. We're not saying you have to have it, but if you have a more likely chance of getting it, if you had depression in the past or if you have family members who have had it. But some other ways to try and counter against this is your family support, to try and make sure that you're staying in a supportive environment, trying to eat right, trying to exercise, and trying to staying a healthy sort of environment as much as possible. We know that's easier said than done. It's not always as simple as that. But we just want to encourage persons, and what they need to do is to reach out if they feel like they're struggling. And I think that's a very important step, that people make them feel as though something is wrong with them if they ask for help. And it's never about that. It's always about preserving their life and the life of their baby.
Dr. Fitz-Henley says there are several symptoms to look out for when managing depression.
So what we've been seeing a lot of recently is financial stressors. A lot of persons have either lost their job, or their job hours have been cut, or they don't have as much support as they wanted. Persons are struggling to support their children, support the rest of their family, and as you can imagine, that would weigh very heavily on someone. Persons are also having relationship stressors, that whether it is someone has abruptly left them, or they found out about some other infidelity, but any sort of relationship stress, and that could even be among friends or among other family members, not necessarily an intimate partner, but any of those things can also lead up to depression. And of course, we can't forget traumatic events. Persons who have endured, whether witnessing something or they've actually experienced it for themselves, those persons are also at a higher risk of developing depression.
How would you assist someone who is unaware of their illness?
I find that even just printing off the information for them or writing it down, showing them where they can look it up, is usually quite helpful for them, and especially for these persons who like to read around things and like to be very knowledgeable of their illness, which I think is a very important thing. I think it's very important that you know the name of your illness, the name of your medication, why you're on them. Those are very important things in your treatment plan. So for those persons, again, you just write down the name of their illness, you go through and explain how it is going on, or how it is impacting them, or which symptoms of the diagnostic criteria they have to show why we've gotten to this point. I think it's a very crucial step for persons to be able to understand their illness. And that usually does help. It may not happen in the first session, but over time you find that it does make a difference.
Knutsford Express reports a 10% increase in profits, and the JPS boss resigns. We have these stories and more in the business report with Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide to the latest happenings in the world of business. Contributions in rental income from the Knutsford Express Drax Hall Business Center in the parish of St. Anne and the cafe on the same location have combined to increase the financial results in terms of revenue and profits. Knutsford Express Services Limited, for the 6 months ended November 30, 2023, reported a 19% increase in revenue totaling $965 million compared to the $813 million in the corresponding period last year. Revenue for the second quarter had a 19% increase to close at $473 million compared to $397 million for the comparable quarter in 2022. Net profit, being total comprehensive income for the period, totaled $157 million, a 10% increase from the corresponding period last year. The team at Knutsford Express highlighted our plan of investing in our coaches and stations, of adding capacity, convenience, enhanced customer experience, and gains in operational efficiency and productivity is well underway that should allow us to record sustainable growth. Popular tourist destination for drinks and refreshment, Margaritaville Turks Limited, saw higher levels of tourist arrivals and higher average spend per passenger during the quarter. That is, over 185,000 passengers bought food and drinks in the business with an average spend of US $8.29 per passenger versus 168,000 passengers with an average spend of US $8.05 per passenger in 2022. That said, the rise in cost of sales and administrative expenses ate into the food and beverage operators' profit. While no taxes were reported for the period under review, net profit for the 6 months amounted to US $299,000, a 34% decrease from the US $455,000 reported in 2022. For the second quarter, net profit was US $70,000 compared to the 2022 figure of US $360,000. Jamaica Public Service Company Limited, JPS, has advised of the resignation of its president and CEO, Steve Berberich. JPS has further advised that Damien Obligo, the current chairman of the board, has been named acting CEO effective February 5 and will remain in that role until a new CEO is seated. During trading on Jamaica 15, 2024, the top advancing stocks covered the manufacturing, distribution, and energy sectors on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited shares advanced 24.9% for a 60 cents increase to close at $3.01 with 4,000 shares traded. A.S. Bryden & Sons Holdings Limited, a Trinidadian company acquired by Separate Limited, the shares advanced by 11.39% to jump by $4.60 to close at $45 with 4,187 shares traded. Siboney Group Limited shares advanced 9.77% for an increase in the share value of 13 cents to close at $1.46 with 1,347,000 shares traded. On the declining stocks that traders experienced on January 15, 2024, the top 3 losers covered the distribution, insurance, and financial sectors. Caribbean Cream Limited declined by 23.82% for a fall in price of $1.06 to close at $3.39 with 2,223 shares traded. Iron Rock Insurance Company Limited declined by 17.2% to lose value of 43 cents to close at $2.07 with 176 shares traded. ISP Finance Services Limited declined by 15.52% to fall by $4.16 to close at $22.64 with 2,380 shares traded. Over to the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Trading activity on the first-tier market registered a volume of 49,600 shares crossing the floor of the exchange, valued at 1.4 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars. Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 23,000 shares changing hands for a value of 101,000 Trinidad dollars, followed by Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago Limited with a volume of 7,712 shares being traded for 539,000 Trinidad dollars. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the regional stock markets, we now turn to the Forex market. On January 15, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $39.7 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $11.1 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollars for $156.11 and bought the US dollar for $155.25. The difference between the buy and sell rate was 86 cents, which represents a profit for Forex traders on every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of $2.96 from the transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $118.77 and bought for $115.81. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $9.69, selling it for $199.98 and buying it for $190.29. For your credit tip of the day, when you choose debt consolidation to manage your debt, be sure to commit to the following. 1. Commit to on-time payments. Consistency is key. Make timely payments on your consolidated debt to solidify your positive payment history. 2. Avoid new debt. Steer clear of accumulating new debts while you are working through your consolidation plan. This will prevent your financial ship from taking on more water. 3. Regularly monitor your credit report. Keep a vigilant eye on your credit report. Ensure that it is accurately reflecting your consolidated debts and the positive changes you're making. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed. Stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, after months without any COVID-related deaths, 5 have been recorded from late December 2023 to date. Health Minister Terence Dalsing says there's also been a noted increase in COVID cases. Sunil Lala reports.
We have from December 28th to yesterday, we have now reported 5 COVID deaths.
Health Minister Terence Dalsing said 2 COVID-related deaths were reported from December 28th to December 31st, with 3 being recorded for January.
These 5 deaths have been found to be in the typical population, that is the elderly and the elderly with comorbidities, hypertension, diabetes, and so on.
Added to this, there's a noted increase in COVID-19 cases witnessed in January, with 9 people now hospitalized with the virus.
In Couva, we have 3 patients, 3 ward-level patients. At San Fernando General Hospital, we have 4 adult ward-level patients. We have 1 pediatric ward-level patient, and we have 1 ICU patient at San Fernando.
And Minister Dalsing revealed that there are currently no COVID-19 vaccines available in the country.
We would have had to dump and destroy 795,000 doses of COVID vaccines, the last of which expired in September 2023. People were just not coming forward for COVID vaccines.
The minister said plans are afoot to procure vaccines, but it is not a simple task.
How much do I need? Right now, 2,000. They're not going to sell us. They're not going to turn on a factory to make 2,000 vaccines.
Minister Dalsing said he's seen people wearing masks recently and is advising the most vulnerable to take precautions. He said there's been no signs of the new JN1 COVID-19 variant so far in the country, but did not rule out the possibility that it may already be here. Sonolala, TTT News.
In the Bahamas, Prime Minister Philip Davis says the issue of bail has become a death sentence for young men, adding that the judiciary has responsibility to address this. His comments come after the country's Chief Justice recently defended judges who grant bail to people accused of murder at the opening of the legal year.
A judge has the right to use his discretion when granting bail. Judges in the Bahamas, though, live in the Bahamas, and they know the truth of the statistics. Releasing these men on the streets is akin to a countdown to a death sentence. We all have a responsibility to address this issue: the judiciary, lawyers, and central government.
Last week, Police Commissioner Clayton Fernando called for a review of the Bail Act, sparking debate on whether amendments are needed. Former Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson saying that she believes the Bail Act is fine, but said enforcement is needed. Attorney General Ryan Pinder, too, said there is no need to change the law. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said the troubling situation of repeat offences, committing serious offences or being killed while on bail, requires a more aggressive approach by the judiciary.
These, in my opinion, justify a more aggressive approach by the judiciary in denying bail in these cases. In my view, the prosecutors must likewise be more aggressive in appealing instances where bail is granted.
In Grenada, government is undertaking initiatives to actively involve school children in activities to mark the celebration of Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence. One such activity involving the nation's children is the distribution of 50th independence pins to secondary school students.
50 is a big deal. Ministers of government and members of parliament on Monday set aside a cabinet meeting to engage and personally distribute commemorative 50th independence pins to secondary school students throughout the state of Grenada. This distribution, facilitated by parliamentary representatives of each school's constituency, aims to provide a personal touch to the initiative. Camera footage shows students of the Presentation Brothers College and the St. David's Catholic Secondary School providing feedback as the commemorative 50th anniversary pins were attached to their uniforms.
It was very, very, very informative, especially on the part of how Grenada was 50 years back before we got independence. The population, the size, it hit home because I think country of a very small population at that time fighting for its independence. It was very informative. I am very patriotic Grenadian. I love this country. I love Grenada. You would hear a lot of students normally talking about they would like to go overseas and stuff. They don't enjoy Grenada. I love Grenada. Even the song, Going Up, I've listened it many, many times. My mom sometimes gets fed up with me. I love independence. I love this country. And 50 years is a big milestone and it definitely means a lot to me.
Well, the colors, first thing I noticed was the colors. So then that kind of prepped me, we have seen, independence coming. And well, the event today was interesting, at least getting to see how the students themselves react to everybody and how everybody getting the pins and stuff. I find it was interesting and fun.
It was lively, it was informative, it was really, really well done. Personally, I felt really hyped, not only because of the atmosphere, but as he said, it's the 50th anniversary this year. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime occasion. 50 years of unity, 50 years of looking towards the future, reflecting on the past and looking towards the future. As we are the youth, we are the future, we are the next 50 years and beyond.
Terry Pierre, acting principal of the Presentation Brothers College, said this is a proud moment for Grenada and students should recognize its significance.
In sports, young Jamaican sprinter Tia Clayton was in top form at the JPS Puma Fuller Anderson Development Meet at the GC Foster College on Saturday. The teen laid down the fastest time in the women's 60 meters. Tia zipped out of the blocks like a rocket and held her form well to stop the clock at 7.22 seconds, with 200 meters specialist Jodine Williams well back at 7.37. Tia and her twin, Tina, have become crowd favorites at Jamaica's annual Boys and Girls Championships over the years. Looking cheerful after her